Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Sue Schlapp and her son, ACU Chairman Matthew Aaron Schlapp.
You're supposed to say thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll just say, CPAC to me is all about family, and I'm very proud of this one. And I'm here today to introduce you to a very special family. I know them as friends, but let me tell you a little bit about Susan Pompeo. No, Susan, I won't say it out loud. For many years in Kansas, I gave tennis lessons. You learn a lot about someone on the court. What I learned about Susan Pompeo is that she never foot faults. She swings hard, and she fights to the last point. You know, God has a good sense of irony, because when Susan lived across the street, she was raised by a woman with the last name of Justice. How appropriate is that? Nothing could be more true. It's my honor to introduce you to Susan Pompeo.
I had said to Sue before she came out on stage, just don't out my bad tennis game and my backhand. So I love her. She's always looked out for me. I'm pretty sure that Mike is backstage a little bit nervous because he thinks it's a good idea for me to introduce him until the moment arrives. And then he gets a little nervous, but hopefully he'll survive. I thought that you all probably know a little bit about Mike, given who you are, but I'll run through his resume really fast and then tell you the insidery things that I feel kind of obligated to share since the wife is introducing the husband. So, fast on the resume. He was blessed to study at two of the world's finest academic institutions. He did well. He was a good student. He studied on Friday nights. I know. He served 5 years active duty in the United States Army. His first assignment was leading troops patrolling the East German border, and to this day, Mike adores tanks, and I think that he would tell you his favorite job, probably till death, is being a soldier. He practiced law for a few years here in Washington, and then he moved back to Kansas, which is where his mother was from, to start an aerospace business. He sold that, and then he ran an oil and gas business. And then our son, Nick, went off to college. And we were empty nesters, and it sounded so appealing, but the house was really quiet. The house was too quiet, and I was a little bit sad, so Mike ran for Congress, which did pick things up, for sure. He had just won his fourth re-election to Congress when President Trump asked him if he would serve as director of the CIA, which was a huge honor, for sure. And he loved that work, but a year later, the president said, America and I need you to move over, and Mike moved to the State Department and is now serving as your 70th Secretary of State. Okay, so that's the resume. Here's the insidery stuff. Mike and his dad make a really mean Italian meatball. It's a family recipe. Mike is a crazy fast reader, and that's a good thing these days. He loves operating a power hose, and he doesn't get to do it very often anymore, so I feel bad about that. I don't know how he'll feel about me sharing this with you, but our whole family, and Mike has a big family, our whole family teases him about being a diplomat. And I think it's because they see him more as a DOD guy, as a tank commander. But he always says to them that he's delivering diplomacy with a little bit of a twist. So less cocktail party banter and more straightforward talk. Now here's the really big one. In high school, he worked at Baskin-Robbins, and he received the Employee of the Month award, but there's a huge family feud over this because he says he got it 2 months, and his sister and brother say 1 month. So I don't know how we clear it up. For years, Mike has practiced what he has told our sons so many times, and that is never give an inch. And when it comes to big things in life, as he has often explained to Nick, when it comes to our values, our commander-in-chief, our country, don't ever give an inch. Back in 2009, when we made the family decision that Mike was going to run for Congress, I told you he had a big family, lots of cousins in Kansas. So he decided he should write them a note and forewarn them that he was going to indeed be running. And I loved a line he put in that letter. He said, "I will be running as the person you know me to be." And I think that speaks to Mike so perfectly because he just doesn't change. No matter what hat he's wearing, he is who he is. He has, thanks. He has taken an oath to defend America with his life if necessary 8 times now. And it is with that seriousness that he executes the job that he's doing now as your Secretary of State. So without further ado, my husband, Mike Pompeo.
Very kind. Thank you. Hey. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you so much. You all, this is awesome. This is awesome. So I survived an introduction by my wife. That's good. And I just left the Oval Office. I survived that too. And I told the president where I was going. I said, I got to go. I got to get over. The people are all waiting for me. And I said, I've got to defend America's foreign policy. He says, oh, that'll be easy. Look, I am thrilled to be here at the largest conservative gathering in the country, except every Trump rally. And you should all know, I was going to pass out copies tonight, but I heard Nance the Ripper still on the loose. So no hard copies of my remarks. Let me start Let me start with a simple question. I think I know the answer. Can anyone in this room remember a better time to be an American conservative? We are safer than ever. Our economy is more prosperous than ever. And President Trump will not stop winning. It's what a lot of folks in this have been working on for a long time. And you heard from Susan not so many years ago. Susan and I were right there beside you. We were working our tails off as grassroots volunteers, trying to get good candidates elected. Sue Schlapp, who introduced my wife, was running for city council in Wichita. We did our best to help her be successful. She was a great city council person. Look, we did what you all do. We donated to causes that we believed in. With most of our time, we raised our family. We taught fifth grade Sunday school together. That was great practice for my current job. We were active in our church. You know, typical deplorable stuff. As I was thinking about this group and what I would say today, I thought, when I was where you are, what would I like to have heard from a Secretary of State back then? What would I have liked to have known? How does the State Department spend your money, taxpayer money? What does the Secretary do all day to advance America's interest and its values? How'd that guy get the job? I can't answer the last question, but I'm going to tackle the first two with you all today. I want to talk about how under President Trump's leadership, the State Department is winning for America once again. We have 74,000 people. We have embassies in 192 countries that go from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe. On a daily basis, the State Department does everything from helping American companies be successful abroad and do deals. We screen visa applicants to keep America safe. We forge new alliances. And if you lose your passport, come see me. But apart from that daily work, apart from the core, President Trump and I set a few overarching principles about what we need to do in the world and the things that we do not need to do. Simple mission, this may sound trite, but we got to keep America safe. This may seem obvious. And President Trump has constructed a foreign policy around government's most basic mission, national security, that's what we're protecting when we launched the strike that killed the terrorists who had murdered and maimed hundreds of Americans. It's truly been my honor to help President Trump rid the world not just of Qasem Soleimani, but of other truly demonic, evil people. Qasem al-Rimi was a founder and leader of Al-Qaeda. He's gone. Hamza bin Laden, the son of Osama bin Laden, a rising figure in Al-Qaeda, gone. And of course, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, gone. Can we all agree that the world is a better place because these people are gone? When it comes to these missions, it's not just State Department. I'm part of a big team. I'm in constant contact with our Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. He happens to be a college classmate of mine. Our intelligence head, my former deputy, Gina Haspel, who's running the CIA. General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a great American and my neighbor. In fact, the only key member of our team that I don't know well is that Sherman Shepherd, and I'm going to get to know him. It's a remarkable team that the president has and that he has put together to help deliver President Trump's foreign policy. A second priority that I've set, and the president said, is to advance American values. That includes defending that first freedom, religious liberty. Some people look at the killings of Christians in the Middle East or the imprisonment of Uyghur Muslims, ethnic Kazakhs, other believers in China and say, hey, look, that's not our problem. But I say, And President Trump says, oh, yes, it is. It's our problem, because the God that has blessed this country as the standard bearer for religious freedom is important everywhere. Nations that respect this right are freer, more prosperous, more secure, more stable. And if we don't defend religious freedom, no one else will. It's why President Trump has made this incredibly central to what it is we're trying to achieve. I'll give you another great example. It's why under President Trump's leadership, we have aligned United States assistance, American aid, with American values by reinstating the Mexico City policy that prohibits $1 single of yours for going to an abortion anywhere in the world. President Trump understands deeply that abortion isn't a human right. It takes a human life. And there's another common sense, core American value that President Trump has injected into our foreign policy, taking care of our own. It's why we have all worked so hard to liberate American hostages. One of my proudest moments, and I know the president's too, it's part of our idea that says our foreign policy will have realism, restraint, and respect. This mission stands out. One of my first big tasks as Secretary of State was to get a handful of Americans home from North Korea. We flew to North Korea. We negotiated them out. We made the long flight home. When Kim Dong-chul, Kim Hok-sung, and Tony Kim got off that airplane, it was about 2:30 a.m., not far from here, Joint Air Base Andrews. They cried tears of joy. You'll remember the pictures. President Trump and Melania were on the tarmac to meet them. As they were getting off the plane, one of them handed me a card. I put it in my suit pocket as they were making their way towards the crowd. When I got home that night, I saw Susan. I pulled out the card, and on that index card was Psalm 126. It read as follows. It said, "When the Lord brought back the captives to Zion, we were like men who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. And then it was said, among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy." Amen to that. Many of the hostages have released that we've not been able to make public. There is nothing I'm more proud of than the priority President Trump has made on bringing home every American, and we've had lots of success. So that's the mission of the State Department. How do I spend my time advancing it? You should know that it's different. Different secretaries kind of roll different. I'm not in it for the fancy dinners in Paris or Switzerland or Vienna. I've only been to those places twice during my time on the job. One of my predecessors went 62 times. That, my friends, is a lot of cocktails. He also went to Antarctica, and I don't know who he was negotiating with there. Look, I'd rather go be with my team in tough places that present hardship to the young men and women who are serving as diplomats all across the world. Even as we stand here today, we have people in China, we have people in Kabul, in Luanda, Angola, and Baghdad. These are often places secretaries don't go as frequently, places like Hungary and Iceland, Belarus, and Paraguay. When I go to these places, I get a chance to thank my team that is delivering America's value set all across the world, alongside our brothers and sisters in the Department of Defense. It is an incredible privilege for me to be part of that. When I meet with leaders, I'm pretty much just Mike. I live by a code that I learned while Susan talked about it. I learned this at West Point. Just tell the truth, shoot straight. They prefer it. It's the way President Trump operates as well. I set clear expectations for what it means to be on America's side. I ask our partners to step up on the biggest challenges we face, whether that is countering the Islamic Republic of Iran, countering China, restoring democracy in Venezuela. You can see President Trump's mission set. You can see his heart in our foreign policy. We are countering the face of oppression around the world. And this was a value that we all know from the enormous successes we had under President Reagan and when the Iron Curtain fell, when I was a young cavalry officer. You know, another part of shooting straight is being honest with yourself. You have to be clear about what you can do and what you can't. No foreign policy that is built on fantasy ever works. It's what we have had to correct in our time. Under previous administrations, our nation signed dangerous agreements that made Americans less safe, like the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Accord. We had bad trade deals. People said these things couldn't be fixed. Previous administrations were proud of themselves for these agreements. They got to go to the ribbon cutting and the signing. But everyone knows this. The point is changing behavior, not signing documents. If there is no compliance, or if the agreements were flawed, you got to get out of them. They're just ink and paper. And so we did. President Trump's a smart business leader. We changed course. We renegotiated terms. We got better deals for each and every one of you. Now, our success depends on who you ask. If you ask the media, maybe not so much. If you ask our friends, indeed, I was at a hearing today where they said President Trump's foreign policy was a failure. But remember, these are the same people who said for years that we could never achieve exactly what we've done. They said, and I've read it, they said, boy, you can never successfully confront China on trade. We have a phase 1 trade deal. They said you can never get Mexico to control its border, and there are thousands of Mexican troops helping us stop the crossings. They said you never defeat ISIS, and the caliphate is gone. And they said we'd never free Pastor Brunson from his prison in Turkey, and he's home. They said Mexico and Canada will never renegotiate their deal. They said the North Koreans would never engage in a conversation about their nuclear weapons program. They said they'd never release their hostages and that we couldn't get the remains of our soldiers home. And we've done that. They said the pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal would lead to runaway proliferation, but it's restored deterrence. And they said taking out Qasem Soleimani would lead to World War III, and it's actually made our world far safer. It's easy to forget, but they said that moving our embassy to Jerusalem would set the Middle East alight. That didn't happen, and our plan represents the best chance for peace in decades. I could go on, but time is short and winning is exhausting. And while I know fatigue and stress is definitely part of my job, I know too, Susan reminded you, I'm the 70th Secretary of State. I know President Trump's the 45th president, more turnover in my gig. I wanted to leave you with one last thought. I am frequently challenged by those who disagree with our foreign policy. They ask questions such as, why is it okay for America to intervene between two countries with nuclear weapons? Or why does America care who's elected the next leader in Venezuela? And so on. I answer this way typically. I've traveled a bit, and I've spent significant and necessary time with evil individuals who have American blood on their hands. And I've also hugged and held children in every corner of the world. in both instances, they know the answer to those questions. They know America under President Trump means business. They know that America is a force for good. It does not mean we get it right every day, but I can assure you that wherever I go, working for President Trump, people tug on my sleeves. They want to meet me. They want to meet me not because I'm Mike from Kansas, because I represent the greatest nation in the history of civilization. It is. It is. It is my honor to represent each and every one of you every day. Thank you for what you're doing to keep this country exceptional. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.